Hi there, in this video we are looking at the new, at least for Sony E-mount, full-frame Viltrox 40mm f2.5. Now, this full-frame autofocus lens currently sells for just $168, and it's also available for Nikon Z-mount if you're one of those people. The 40mm is part of Viltrox's new Air series, a series of more lightweight and obviously affordable lenses. The barrel and everything is made out of plastic, which makes the lens fairly lightweight, and I think it's around 163 grams all in all. And just to give you a rough idea of the overall size of this lens, I've got the 56mm f1.7 and aps-c prime lens, and this here is the 40, and if we hold them up side by side like so, you can see that we're pretty much getting a full frame autofocus lens at the same size as an aps-c prime, which is pretty good if you're looking for a fun walking around lens that doesn't take up too much room in your camera bag or weights down your shoulder that much. Now, if you're familiar with lenses from Viltrox, you know that at least the lens mount on this lens is gonna be made out of metal, and that's where we also find the USB-C port for firmware updates, which is another great feature with Viltrox lenses. We've got 11 aperture blades, which are actually straight blades, giving us a more lively and more, in my opinion, interesting and characterful bokeh compared to lenses with a rounded aperture blade. The straight blades, according to the interwebs at least, makes for a more cost-efficient production and design, which we definitely can see in the $168 we're paying for this lens. There is no buttons or any switches on the lens barrel. The only control point, if we can call it that, is the actual focus ring itself, which I will have to give at least a 6, maybe even a 7 out of 10 in terms of the dampening and the overall feel, something that I find is kind of tricky to find on modern mirrorless lenses, which is focused by wire. I do prefer mechanical focus rings, but this one is actually pretty good. And the focus throw on this lens is actually pretty decent too, so along with the dampening and the focus throw, this here is a pretty good lens for manual focusing. The autofocus performance was also a pleasant surprise. Maybe the STM motor could have been slightly quicker if you're planning on shooting bursts and high-speed action shots and that kind of stuff. But for video, I will have to say the autofocus feels very confident and most of all organic. I did a couple of these autofocus tests, just approaching the camera and jumping in and out of frame, and based on these I have nothing to complain about when it comes to autofocus. I will show you a few more here in the studio shortly. Focus breathing is also very well controlled, as you can see, and that's something that I kind of come to expect from pretty much every Viltrox lens by now, and that's why I like to use Viltrox lenses for video and oftentimes hybrid shooting when I need a lens with autofocus. $40mm is an interesting focal length in many ways. You're getting some of that extra little oomph compared to a standard 35 without the tightness of a 50, and that's why I think it's a great focal length for both aps-c and full-frame cameras. On aps-c cameras we're getting a 60mm full-frame equivalence, which actually can be more useful and easier to work with than your typical 50 for things like medium shots and obviously product shots and detail shots if you want to be able to include just a tiny bit more of the environment around your subjects. And the samples in this video have actually been shot on my 26 megapixel aps-c Sony FX30. So I won't be able to show you the small amount of vignetting that you would get on a full-frame camera, but according to Christopher Frost, even at f2.5, the vignetting isn't that bad. Chromatic aberration is also something that Viltrox have addressed on all their more recent lenses. I tried to shoot some contrasty detail shots here and there, but I wasn't able to pick up much in the way of fringing at all. It wasn't actually until this morning when I decided to go out and shoot just a few more samples for this video that I was able to see just a tiny amount of fringing around these water droplets here in the specular highlights. But overall, based on my previous tests and tests outside of this, I would call the optical performance of this lens pretty damn good. For the price, obviously. There is obviously gonna be better lenses, but $468, you know. If 35 or 50mm is your kind of go-to lens for just walking around and grabbing a couple of shots here and there, whether it's stills or video, it might take you just a couple of seconds to adjust your eyes and your framing to 40mm. It's familiar, but at the same time it's a slightly new perspective, which kind of makes it a bit more interesting and a lot more fun. So I'm gonna go and grab a couple of more shots out here before we lose all the lights. And well, there's actually just one, but yeah, I'm gonna go and do that, and I'll see you in the studio. So yeah, 40mm, it's actually a pretty interesting and fun focal length to shoot with. So if you're looking for a new, fun and inexpensive walking around lens, I could highly recommend you to check this out. I would also like to recommend this to any videographer or hybrid shooter out there, whether you're on full frame or on aps-c. If you're getting one of these and you decide to go on to full frame someday in the future, you will have a super fun and versatile full frame lens ready to go for that new full frame camera of yours. I would like to thank Viltrox for sending this out so you and I could have a look at it. This is not a sponsored video, but if you want to support me or this channel, then why not use the links down below if you're considering picking one of these up. But that's gonna be it, so thank you for watching. Don't forget to press all the buttons and everything down below, and maybe leave a hello in the comment section. And I'll see you in the next one. Okay, until then, bye.